5.7 cents per unit for the big wind turbines and 5.9 for the micro turbines, the small ones. The take-up on them was very small. There was a grant for them, and it's only 5% take-up. Mostly farmers, and a lot of them are doubting whether they're viable at all. So there's a 5.7%. There's a big grant of roughly about 45%. Now, I'm open to correction on this, but I'm going on the figures published by a windmill installed at Dundalk Regional Technical College, and apparently the grant there is about 45% of a direct grant. There's also rapid depreciation allowed. In other words, the write-off period is allowed against tax much faster. So you have the capital grant on the setting up of the turbine, and then you have the ongoing grant then for the amount of units supplied, and you have a quick depreciation system as well. Now, I don't have the full amount because it's very, very hard to get this information, but it's roughly like that. Now, estimates have been made in Britain that the subsidies amount to 3 times what they'd get if they were just producing ordinary power and selling it. So the selling price is only a little fraction. But they're not happy with this. There was a man on this morning. He wants more and more and more subsidies. And where does this end? This is the question.
That is a good question. That is a very good question. Can you tell us a bit as well about the environmental impacts, we'll say, with regards to wildlife and fowl and things like that?
Yes. What we get from the industry is that they do kill birds and they do kill bats, but that it's not any worse than that experience on the roads, that it's not any better on the roads. Just putting on a light here. It's not any better than the amount of birds that are killed on the road or from other natural causes, and therefore it's a proportion of that. What they don't tell you is that is partly true, but the birds that are killed are the scarcer types. They're bats and the raptors. And one of the reasons for that is that in the case of a big turbine, one that's proposed for not too far from me, the blade is 90 meters across. It's moving at 160 miles an hour. It has to be controlled below. It can't be let go any faster than that. That's as fast as a jumbo jet shortly after takeoff. And a lot of these birds of prey, they evolved to see prey down underneath. They have no protection from some danger from above. So they'll see a hunter, or they'll see prey, or they'll see some other bird, but they don't see something directly over them. And so they're wandering. Some of them actually hover, and they're near the windmill, and they hover into the course of the windmill, and bang, down comes the blade, and that's the end of them. So the proportion of the birds killed are a bigger loss to us than if it was only magpies and crows and things. I know some people might say they're valuable, but this is the distortion that is made. And an examination of these have mainly been from the U.S. That's from California, a wind farm in California, where a lot of the data comes from. We have claims in Britain by some people that they don't have any impact on birds. I don't know how that comes about. But bats seem to come in for a severe doing. As well as that, there's the disruption of them. I mean, will a bird who is, in my area here, we have buzzards and some species, and they do change over time. They seem to come and go and all that. Will owls, for example, which we have a nice little amount of here, and they're a most beautiful bird, and they're highly treasured, how will they react to a turbine of that size, 90 meters, permanently revolving within 50 and 60 meters of their habitat? And we can only say it has to be negative. And indeed, they may be killed, but they'll be also driven out, and that's the point. And this is why I campaign on this. If all of this was going to help the polar bears, or was going to help society, or was going to help us to be more prosperous, then maybe there'd be with the price we would have to pay. But I continually make the point, for what? Why are we doing it? And that's the question.
That is a very good question. You mentioned there that it travels at 150 miles per hour, which seems to be a very high speed. But in actual fact, we're talking about the speed that the tip of the blade is rotating at there. And it can easily get up to speeds of 150 miles per hour, in fact. And I was reading about that wind farm that you mentioned out in California, and it had killed something. It gave a figure of killing 75 golden eagles a month.
Yes.
So it kills it kills a surprising amount of birds.
Yeah, I personally feel sad about that. I think many people are beginning to realise that we need these species to keep us sane in this mad world we live in. I'm just going to say there's a German record apparently. It's Brandenburg Environment Office, and they show 4,700 birds per year, of which raptors, including golden eagles, comprise 1,300, white-tailed eagles 4, white-tailed sea eagles and golden eagle 12, white-tailed sea eagles 32, buzzard 95. I have them beside me. There's a buzzard on the tree in front of my house this morning. Red kite 99. And I don't know. I just think this is we really have to look at this and what we're doing.
Okay, before we wrap this up, has nobody really put out a figure there for the income coming into the island of Ireland from tourism, for example, and how this is so large compared to what you say and what I believe, actually, now that I have looked into it more closely, the minimal, if not negative, addition of wind power. Has nobody said that the tourism and all the jobs associated with this is going to take a severe hit if these windmills pop up every place?
Well, there is a small group, and there's some members of the European Platform Against Wind Farms, and there's a number of local groups, but there doesn't appear to be any cohesive voice on this. A survey in Scotland said that of tourist surveys that 25% would not return to a turbinised landscape. And of course, here in Ireland, we tend to take our environment for granted, but people come here, particularly in nice weather, and many of the things one of the beautiful things about Ireland, where we have grey days, but when the sun comes out in the month of April here, it is undoubtedly one of the most beautiful countries in the world. And we have all this barren place where we have grouse species, highly endangered. We have hills and the valleys and all that sort of stuff that are immortalized in song and everything else. And some people say, you'll get some people who say, I think windmills are nice on that. Other people will call them, they're like crucifixes up there. But just remember what we're going to do in small areas. The 5 turbines beside me will each contain 100 lorry load of concrete in the base that will never come up, even though the planning authority say it must at some stage. And 7 turbines, each of which is larger than the spire of Dublin, which is 120 metres, ours is 126 metres. And may I just say, one of the reasons why these turbines are continually getting bigger is that the people selling them are trying to convince the buyers that the ones at present are not economical, but if they keep putting them bigger, they may be economical. That's a strange thing to say. But no, tourism, I think, is our second biggest industry. I'm not just too well up on that. But clearly, the quality of the countryside and the pristine nature of it, and the hills of Donegal and the hills of Kerry and all those beautiful places, these are about to be dotted with white turbines all over the place. And I can only leave it to the listener to decide. I was at a meeting in Cavan put forward by a political party, which I won't name, and the wind energy people were there, and they said they wanted to put up 6,000 turbines. 6,000. There's already 11. There's already about 1.1 thousand. So there's another 5,000 to go up. Now just think of this and think of what I'm saying, and it has to have an effect on tourism. But I mean, the idea then that these provide employment after they go up, there's very little evidence of once they go up. There's definitely employment making cement and putting them up, but once they're up, where's the employment?
And of course, the turbines are manufactured overseas to begin with.
They're manufactured mainly in Denmark and Germany. Vestas and Siemens manufacture them, and at the moment they're getting it very hard to sell them. And I have no doubt. I'm not suggesting anything improper, because there is a euphoria among politicians and in the media on this subject that it's hard to understand. But I have no doubt that there would be a good deal of lobbying going on, because what we now have in this country is want to be eco-millionaires, and we have heaps of them, and they're on the radio, on the television, and on the paper, night, noon, and morning, banging on why aren't we paying more and more money across to them, and some of them are actually now trying to get involved in making parts for turbines, and their whole future seems to be dependent on this madness going on. And I think it is going to go on. I don't really feel optimistic that even my efforts are going to have any effect.
Okay, well, ending up the show then, what do you hope that your efforts will achieve? You mentioned what you really would like to see is, before we proceed with spending 12 billion euros on something that really is not needed, in your opinion, and indeed my opinion, What exactly would you like to see come from this effort? A study done or whatever?
Well, the first thing is the 12 million is only the installation cost. We have the continuing cost in our ESP bills after that. So it doesn't stop us. If this goes on forever, this doesn't stop. And once these contracts are entered into, it's difficult to see how they can be broken. Maybe the thing could be taxed. But my complaint is not so much what we're doing, although of course I do feel we shouldn't do what we're doing. My complaint is that nobody will look at the situation. Nobody will even consider it. Nobody will put a panel of experts involved. Not a big inquiry like some of the tribunals we have here. We have barristers. There's nobody accusing anything. The great thing about the inquiry type I'm proposing is that it's forward-looking. It looks at the cost-benefit of all this, what is exactly we're going to get out of it in the long run, and we come up with some kind of a sensible solution for this. But I think there's a view in the minds of some people that this is a kind of a beef tribunal where you'd have to have barristers and they go on for 10 or 15 years. When you're not accusing any person of doing anything wrong, when you're forward-looking, the inquiry might only cost maybe 30,000, 40,000 because you're looking forward, you're not blaming anyone, you're looking at the thing, you're asking people, and then you're going over and you're checking that. Such an inquiry would go up to wind farms, it would put voltmeters on them, it would go to the grid, it would ask the people operating the grid. I'm sure there are experienced people there who are doing this every day. We'd ask them what they're doing and we'd get the concept right. We'd look at all the figures and maybe look at a bit abroad, look at the whole thing at that. There's no need for any legal representatives or any big cost at all. That is the key to doing an inquiry before you spend the money. When you spend the money and then in 5 years' time it's all over the papers after spending all this billions that we don't have and we borrow from other people and we're trying to pay it back and then it's discovered that there's no product for this at all, then you're in the blame game. You're saying, why did you not say something? Why didn't you do something? And we see that now with the collapse of our own economy and various other. Then you're into all types of legalities and barristers and solicitors and all this and all kinds of blame. The great thing about a forward-looking inquiry, you have none of that. It's cost-effective, it's to the point, and everyone gets a say in. And I'd be really happy if, at the very minimal, the Irish Academy of Engineers, I mean, they're not a radical type of people, they rarely comment. It took a lot to bring them out into the open last January. You can get their comments there on the internet on the Irish Independent, Irish Academy of Engineers. And they say that this should be stopped immediately pending an inquiry. And I would wholeheartedly agree with that. And I'm not on my own. There are several established people, some of them with professional qualifications, some of them without. I could name them off in a long list who just want the same thing. Don't do something cracked. Let's do the thing right. If you have an illness, you go to a doctor who has studied medicine and who has experience and all this. We have some of the finest universities here in Ireland, in the United States, in the UK, and these people study this and they understand what they're talking about. These are the people who brought us all the comforts which electrical power has brought us. Why are we shutting them totally out and replacing them with politicians and people who are well-meaning but who don't know what they're really talking about and don't understand the subject?
Okay, well, okay, that that sounds like an excellent place to leave it there. So thank you very much, Val. And as you say, it does seem as if it would be a great idea to have that set up and have a little bit of an inquiry before that money is spent. You used a word there to describe the situation with the windmills, and you said it was euphoria, and I think that's exactly what it is. It's driven by euphoria, and at the moment there's 1,000 turbines, and it's going to go to 6,000 turbines, and I don't really think it's feasible whatsoever. All right, thank you very much, and that will wrap it up for today, and hopefully we'll be back again next week with another show, and thank you very much, Val. All right, bye-bye.